Ds for tags, that's the one thing I didn't do.
Folk.
Yeah.
Rock, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I guess.
Like a folk rock.
Folk rock, yeah. I think
maybe
that's
blues. Is blues in there?
We'll see. Yeah, there's blues. There we go. So how was your day?
Pretty good. I've been busy. I got to get off because I got to do some registration stuff for my move.
When is it that you're moving?
I'm flying out the 21st.
Okay, so you got some time yet, but
it's
rapidly approaching.
It is coming, Sam.
Jonah, we are not reviewing Total Drama Island Reunion.
It's not even the real show. It's like a fan-made parody thing.
No, we do.
It's also
we do music.
Yeah, it's also not even. It's not a song.
Good for it that it's fan made.
Yeah. Do you want to jump right into it then?
Oh yeah, since you gotta leave.
Yeah. Also, we just start like 20 minutes late.
Listen, my tummy was not happy with me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Out of Your Shop podcast. This week, at Cooper's request, we're doing Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan.
By Bob Dylan. Yeah, this is a Bob Dylan album. Me and Sam, we meme the man pretty consistently over the years. So I figured, let's put our money where our mouth is and actually review an album.
That's about what I expected.
Yeah, so Bob Dylan, born Robert Allen Zimmerman, all the way back in 1941. He's probably heard the name, and a very famous American singer-songwriter. Has sold 100 million records over his lifetime. Has a lot of awards, like 10 Grammys, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Pulitzer Prize, a Nobel Prize for Literature, Presidential Medal of Freedom. He's got a lot of medals. He's kind of known for his storytelling and song. He's big into songwriting. And Highway 61 Highway 61 Revisited is his sixth studio album, released all the way back in 1965, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a while ago.
Just to give you some anecdotal comments, when I was on the phone with my parents earlier today, and I mentioned that we'd be listening to some Bob Dylan, my mom suggested popping some aspirin before I made the endeavor.
Wow. So Dylan hate is baked deep within your family.
Quite.
Well, this one's one of his more well-received ones, to say the least. It's got world-famous song like a Rolling Stone, which is number 1 on the Rolling Stone 500 Greatest Songs of All Time list.
When we'll get to that, but I have a few choice words for Rolling Stone magazine on that.
And it was very critically acclaimed. I looked at the review scores on the Wikipedia page. And it's all 5 stars, all 10s out of 10s, all A pluses. So very well reviewed.
And part of the reason that it is so well reviewed is that no one listens to it if they're under 65.
Well, nowadays, sure. At the time, though.
Cooper, you're looking on the internet, though, are you not?
I'm looking on the internet, yes.
Those are not reviews by young people. It was like when, remember when he released the 17-minute JFK?
Yeah, no, but that was back in 1960. It was very well received. The Beatles famously really loved it.
But my point is that you go into the comment section on that video, and it is only positive comments because it was all people over 50 that were listening to it.
That is true. But I mean, us young people can rediscover older music.
Discover its shit. Show my hand a bit early today.
But yeah, we can just dive right into it right now.
Yeah, and I figure by this point you're noticing that I don't have anything written down on the document.
You don't.
That's because you didn't share it with me. I've got my own documents.
Oh, geez. That's. Why did you say something?
Well, I didn't want to. I didn't know if you hadn't made one or you just made one for yourself. I didn't want you to feel like you were the secretary. You know.
I mean, I do, but then our notes will be a surprise to each other.
Yeah. So track number 1, Like a Rolling Stone, as we mentioned before, is the number 1. Was it rock song or just song of all time by Rolling Stone magazine?
Just the number 1 greatest song of all time.
Number 1 greatest song of all time, according to Rolling Stone magazine. It's pretty high praise going to Tone Deaf Tom Petty.
Look. Listening to this album several times, I've started to appreciate Bob Dylan's voice more than I have in the past. I'm not going to say that it's traditionally good.
I'll say there's a couple of... When he actually sings, I'm fine with it. But when he's doing this, and he's monotone. When he just sings throughout the whole of the song. This is not the greatest song of all time, Rolling Stones. Quit jerking yourself off over the title. It is not the greatest song of all time. Maybe it's 100 out of 100. You know, very bottom of the list. But that is generous.
Well, I think it's still got some positive points, Sam. I mean, it's got a very honky-tonk piano vibe with like this acoustic lead and organ backing that's going into the song.
That loops every minute and a half.
Yeah, it's very, very bluesy. And of course, accompanied by Dylan's unique vocal stylings.
Yeah, unique is one word for it. It's not unpleasant, I will say that, but there's just nothing to it. The backing track loops every minute and a half. There's like 3 instruments. And it's just him talking in tune over the top of it for 6 minutes. Granted, it doesn't feel like a full 6-minute song, you know, so it's enjoyable enough that it goes by at a good pace. But it's not really a song.
I mean, it is a song. I mean, yeah, a lot of these songs don't have a lot of instrumental progression, which I think is a big mark against it. But there's certainly a certain focus on the lyrics in this album. I think that the album has a certain Dylan kind of trades off the songwriting for this the lyricism of the album. I think sometimes to its detriment.
Yeah. Yeah, this one wasn't bad. There's some later ones where it's just straight up gibberish. It's a 7-minute song where he just picks 2 words, decides that he's going to make them rhyme, and then goes with it.
I think you're giving him a little less credit than he deserves.
Listen, the fact that I've seen that he can properly sing makes these kind of songs even more upsetting, where he just doesn't try.
I don't think it's fair to say that he doesn't try. I think he's going for a styling that's different.
Yes, his styling is quite unique. It sounds a bit like smacking a cat with a bag, but it's a conscious decision, so that makes it okay.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not, but just because it's a conscious decision doesn't make it good.
That's fair. Just have a nice harmonica solo, Sam.
There's better on the album. I'll give him that.
That's fair. I know, it's a catchy tune. I'm not going to say it's
catchy.
I'm not going to say, come on, Like a Rolling Stone.
It's not catchy, Cooper. There's nothing about this that had me tapping my foot or anything.
Oh, come on. When he says, how does it feel? That crooning doesn't get to you a little bit?
It got pretty annoying after the 8th time in the first 3 minutes, but yeah, other than that, not so much.
Oh, well, I quite like it. Maybe not the best song of all time. I don't think I'd...
I think that's why I'm being a little bit hypercritical of it, because it is absolutely fucking ridiculous that this is rated the best song of all time.
Maybe you had to be there when it first came out. I think it's a decent, like a bluesy song.
It's okay. It's an okay song. There are 1,001 songs I would put above it, though.
Well, then you make the list next time, Sam.
You know what? Maybe I will. Moving on to track number 2.
Track number 2, Tombstone Blues. Which one? This one kind of goes with a full blues with kind of this like trash can drum backing. Which I don't care for the percussion backing on this song. It's kind of ever present and kind of actually covers up some of the more excellent guitar work going on in the background.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's kind of got that cowboy style, I said. But this one, the lyrics are just complete gibberish until it hits the chorus.
Yeah. The Dylan kind of goes in a pretty kind of a cynical and nonsensical direction on this album. Kind of interestingly, or most of the songs are kind of directed at some person.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's him like kind of talking down to them, which is a kind of interesting vibe to go for.
That's big talk coming from someone who talks like this.
Yeah, but this one's almost like surreal in like its lyrical stylings. Like the line that the sun is not yellow, it's chicken.
You're very profound. I made note of that as well.
Which
I don't know. It's very monotone. The super heavy looping of the backing track. We finally get a guitar solo at 3:40, but it only sticks around for like 15 seconds, and then it just kind of ends. Like it's okay. Again, it's fine. You know, it's not offensive. It's just kind of there, but I don't think anyone would be like, "Hey, put on that Bob Dylan song where he compares the sun to chicken." Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, this one definitely doesn't hold up as well as Like a Rolling Stone. I don't think it quite earns its 6-minute runtime. No. Just because the instrumentation I'm not a big fan of, and the lyrics, while kind of funny, again they're pretty nonsensical.
Jump to track number 3 if you're ready.
Yeah, track number 3. It takes a lot to laugh. It takes a train to cry. Which is really leans into that kind of full, like I said, like honky tonk old timey saloon vibe. Which I actually think Dylan's vocals work quite well as kind of like a world weary vibe over that.
Yes, he actually starts singing in this one, and it is quite enjoyable actually.
Yeah, I think it helps with that piano in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Ever so out of tune, you just add a little character. And it's one of the shorter songs at 4 minutes.
It's kind of in the middle. It's not super long, but there's a couple of the really short ones where you can we'll get to those. But this one has the harmonica solo that I really like. It's actually well played harmonica.
Yeah, around the 145 mark.
Compared to some of the later songs where he sounds like a fat kid trying to run down the driveway breathing only through a harmonica. But it's a little bit plodding, but it kind of gives me that vibe of sitting around a campfire under the stars just freestyling.
And I really like the laid back feel of the song.
Yeah. Maybe it's because Dylan doesn't sing as much on this one, but I don't know.
I still think while maybe Dylan's vocals aren't traditionally good, I think for the most part, instrumentations, they kind of work together, right? At least from my point of view, his vocals are leaning into the instrumentation style.
Yeah.
Or maybe the instrumentations are leaning into the vocal styles, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually enjoy his singing on this one because it's singing instead of speaking. And there's that really long harmonica outro at the end as well, which I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah, a little bit of earned song progression.
Yeah. It doesn't really have much progression, but it has the most of the album, I feel, of any
Yeah,
song.
The album really isn't... The instrumentations don't exactly blast off into space.
No.
It's more focusing on a lot of verses. But yeah, we can go into track number 4 if you want, Sam.
Yeah.
From a Buick 6. Um, for my research into this one was described as like proto garage rock. Which not the vibe I would say. I guess if you're really like 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 the ooze from which like garage rock climbed out of like in prehistoric times maybe.
Yes, the single-celled organism, proto-human.
But yeah, it's got a kind of a raw aesthetic to it. An almost live playing feel. Which, again, I quite like. I like Dylan's raw aesthetic on this album overall.
Yeah, I didn't like it on this one. This one's very grating for me. For being the shortest song on the album, it's pretty bad. The instrumental loops are extremely short and noticeable. We're talking bars in length as opposed to, like a minute from the earlier ones. And the harmonica in this one is very, very piercing. Not pleasantly played at all compared to It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. And the chorus is played so many times for it's a 3-minute song, and I'm pretty sure the chorus is in there 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most original song. It should be a 3-minute song, honestly.
Yeah, I think it'd be sure. It's a 50-minute album. He could probably drop this one, and it wouldn't be missed.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I think in terms of kind of like just a fun, energetic guitar jaunt, it works fine. Plus, I like that organ on this song. I don't know what to say.
Cooper, did you suggest this album because you secretly actually like Bob Dylan?
No, but this album actually, I did like it more than I was anticipating.
I'll admit I did like it more than I was anticipating, but I was anticipating hating it, so being indifferent is a bit is much more than I was anticipating.
We just have to shed our preconceived biases.
Nah, jumping to track number 5.
Track number 5.
Ballad of the Thin Man.
Ballad of the Thin Man.
A Thin Man, not the Thin Man.
A Thin Man. Could be any Thin Man.
Yep, there's several of them.
Yeah, this one's begins with like a very heavy blues organ and a strong bass in the background.
It's also got that kind of harpsichord piano as well.
Yeah. Actually, really dig the vibe on this one as well. Very smoky, I think is the word. And it's a bit of a nasty song with the lyrics, at least. Reading to the lyrics I did for a couple of the songs. This one's actually pretty interesting. It's basically like a dressing down of like the businessman type, who doesn't understand the counterculture, which is why there's kind of those more abstract visuals of like weirdos going about. It's like just what the man doesn't understand,
I was kind of distracted by how disturbingly crisp Dylan's voice was in comparison to the rest of the song.
Crisp as in?
It was mixed very high, and it was a lot clearer than previous songs and songs later on the album as well. Compared to kind of how muffled, not necessarily muffled, but compared to everything else in the song, he seemed crisp and everything else seemed muffled in comparison.
Listening back to it, maybe the vocals are a little more crisp. I didn't really notice it on my initial listens. At least for me, that doesn't really detract from it at all.
It was just a bit distracting for me.
Yeah. Listening to it now, I can tell, but...
And this was the one specifically I was mentioning when he just kind of rhymed things together that didn't really make sense. But like I said, I wasn't listening to the lyrics all too much on this one.
Oh, that's why you miss out on all the Bob Dylan love, Sam. The lyrics are like 80% of why people like him.
80% of this one was gibberish, Cooper.
He's got a Pulitzer.
He moaned at the end of the song, Cooper.
I said 80%. Yeah, but I honestly don't get super tired of this song. Though it doesn't really have much instrumental progression. He's definitely self-indulgent with the lyrics. Which start to get a little tiring to a point.
Yeah. Jump into track 6 if you're ready.
Yeah, track 6. Queen Jane, approximately. Which, of course, more folksy rock. This one sounded suspiciously like a Rolling Stone. I'm not sure if you got that vibe, Sam.
Cooper, half the songs on this album, you could switch out the backing track and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
No, there's differences. There's differences. I mean, Ballad of a Thin Man, a little more smoky. Tombstone Blues is like full blues going on. This one just sounds like, I think with the keyboard organ, it sounds a lot more like a Rolling Stone. It's about the same length
generic,
too.
Yeah.
Which, it doesn't really, I think, contribute that much instrumentally to the album.
Additionally, the harmonica on this one is really loud in the mix. It's very piercing compared to the rest of the song. I think they needed to turn it down just a little bit compared to everything else.
Maybe a little bit, but I still dug it. I mean, it basically is replacing the vocals for Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be up front and center.
It can be front and center without hurting my ears.
I mean, they don't hurt my ears at least, but
well,
you got sensitive ears.
I have a little line here saying, because what's the line? He's asking Queen Jane to come see him, right?
I mean, it's basically him like another dressing down song, honestly.
Yeah.
Basically him like telling this woman that she's gonna get what's coming to her, aka she's Queen Jane, right?
And I wrote, maybe she'd come see you if you stop playing that damn harmonica like you're trying to run a marathon with it in your mouth.
Oh, you're doing the harmonica dirty.
Because Cooper, he's shown that he can sing properly. He's shown that he can play the harmonica properly, and then he doesn't.
I
Playing
never
it bad and calling it style that's not good.
I don't think it was bad.
It was bad.
I think it was accented.
You're a Bob Dylan apologist. You'll get
Sam,
what's coming to you.
Most people are Bob Dylan apologists.
Yeah, most people over 60 like you.
Back in my day, he was the hip-hopinest man on the street. Here, let's go to track number 7. Highway 61, Revisited.
The titular track.
Yes. The track that Dylan found a Siren Whistle.
Yeah, I had one of those when I was a kid, and he was literally just fucking play with it. There was no rhyme or reason to where he put it in the song. He's just like, I'm gonna blow this now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna defend that part of it.
He's really bad at writing short songs. Like, holy crap, he cannot write a song that's shorter than 5 minutes to save his life.
Yeah, I don't care for this one that much either. You think with the it being the title track, it'd have a little more thought put into it, but it's kind of like a semi-sock hoppy vibe with like just a siren whistle thrown in every now and then.
This is honestly probably the worst titular track I've ever listened to.
Ever?
It's not the worst song on the album, I think, but it's not a good song.
Yeah, I don't care for this one. I don't care for the instrumental vibe.
Yeah.
And on this album, I've never really been annoyed by Dylan's vocals. But when you don't like the instrumental, you don't want to focus only on the vocals.
Yeah, especially since the only things going on in the background are the same notes strummed on guitar and just drums. It's awful musical composition.
I don't think like awful, like in terms of like the bass elements, but very simplistic, and then not really built upon.
It sounds more like he started to write a track. It's like, yeah, I'll just release it.
Shouldn't have made it the title track then.
Yeah, exactly. Jump to track number 8 if you're ready.
Yeah, track number 8. Just like Tom Thumb's Blues. The beginning of the song reminded me a lot of that Kid Rock song, All Summer Long?
Nope.
And we're driving different things, and then we're smoking funny things. And really?
Don't think so.
I'll link you to it. You probably have heard it.
Maybe.
It'll become very familiar once you listen to it. But yeah, I got heavy that song vibes.
Yeah, I honestly didn't have much for this one. It was just kind of copy and paste of everything else he's done so far throughout the album. I felt like I'd just be repeating. Oh wait, I can't listen to this Cooper right now because it's taking desktop. I just hit play and I was like, hold on, wait, because you're coming through desktop.
Oh yeah. Don't play it now, but
yeah, I was about
later.
to. I had that thought earlier, like, man, Cooper listens to the music while we do this. Maybe I should do that. And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's why I can't.
It just helped me get my thoughts together. But yeah, this one, I think this one's a little more jaunty. It's kind of like got a fun piano and a little lazy guitar combination. It's about basically Dylan seeing poverty and stuff in Mexico, and then kind of being all sarcastic and cynical about it, as per Dylan fashion.
Yeah, it's just more of the same. Copy and paste. Control C, Control V.
I think you're being unfair there, Sam.
I really don't think
I'm gonna have to defend Dylan on. Someone's got to stand up for the little guy, Sam. These little independent artists.
Cooper, he unjustly has the #1 song of all time according to the Rolling Stones magazine.
Look, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying, I don't think they all sound as similar as you think they do.
They sound all pretty damn similar, Cooper.
See, you're letting the Dylan hate cloud your vision.
I'm really not. He uses one. I was going to save this till we got to the last track, but he uses the same singing style for every single song, and he doesn't change the damn key. Every song sounds exactly the same.
I mean, that's a bit unfair.
There are some variations here and there, but 50% of the song, or 50% of this album, you could switch them around, switch the backing track, switch the vocals. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
I can tell the difference.
Well, Cooper, what you do in your spare time jerking off to Bob Dylan music, I'm not going to judge.
Hey. I just think you're not giving it the credit it's due. Now, is it rather similar? Yes. And I'm not going to defend and say that each song is radically different from the other. He sticks a pretty stringent instrumental style. And obviously, he's not changing up his vocal style. He's not going to come out here with a cappella. Ooh, can you imagine a Bob Dylan a cappella song?
Oh, I've heard it. We listened to the Traveling Wilburys. Him and Tom Petty singing together is not very good, especially since they're basically the same person. One just actually knows how to sing.
Hey, that's pretty mean to Tom Petty.
Tom Petty's the one that knows how to sing, Cooper.
Yeah, well, we'll go to the final track then, Sam. The album closer, track number 9, Desolation Row. And Bob, he just couldn't help it. He had to tack on an 11-minute song at the end of the album.
Now, this one sounds almost exactly the same as the JFK song.
Yes. Which, we can't blame this song for that, since,
it came out
JFK
first.
Song after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to justify an 11-minute song at the end of this album.
Are you going to justify him having only the Spanish guitar in the left ear with nothing to balance it out on the right, except for some standing bass that is so dark it can't compete?
I'm also not going to justify that. I mean, this one, from reading on it, is supposed to be obviously just an acoustic, just, Bob and his guitar kind of song. But it's pretty indulgent. I mean, the lyrics are kind of interesting, I think. They make a lot of literature and like biblical references. But that, not a good song make. I guess he squeezes in a harmonica solo at like the 9-minute mark. But this song probably suffers the most from like him taking songwriting over singing, in terms of making the song a little more listenable.
This is why the Traveling Wilburys was such a good band, because they could take Bob Dylan's lyricism and actually make music with it instead of whatever the heck this is. It suffers the same fate as all the other songs. The backing track is static for the entire 11 minutes, aside from some slight deviations in Spanish guitar plucking. Additionally, before I'm going to rant, Cooper. Do you have anything to put in before?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Like I said, every song is in the same damn key, and he uses the exact same vocal melody for almost every song. The only difference between the songs are the lyrics. And it's not painful, it's just there. Like, you listen to a couple of songs, you've heard the whole album.
I don't hard agree, but I see where you're coming from. Or there's a lot of similarities. Yeah. And this song definitely doesn't, it's got the Spanish guitar, sure. But it's a little more of a drag.
Yeah, and calling it Spanish guitar makes it sound a lot more cool than it actually is.
Yeah. It's not like pretty. It's not like real interesting guitar work. The entire song.
No, it's got the Spanish stylings, but it's pretty drab guitar.
It's definitely the like vocal equivalent of like let old Pop tell you a story, and then he like gets distracted the first 2 minutes. And like,
at least it didn't have the 3 minutes in the JFK song when he said, "Remember when we used to listen to this song, and this song, and this song, and this song for 3 minutes."
Bob Dylan really was an old man telling a story.
Yeah, it was.
He'd become it.
Minutes.
But yeah, so that's the Bob Dylan album.
Yeah,
Highway 61 Revisited.
Like,
so Sam, how about you go first? Let's start with the positives. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song is definitely "It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry." It's got actually good the only good harmonica work on the album, I'd argue. The harmonica in the final song was so loud. Like I found myself I went to watch YouTube after I finished the album, and I found myself turning it up because I wanted it to be the same volume that I just finished. And you don't notice it, but the album slowly gets louder as you go. And I finally noticed by the end of it when my ears felt like they're almost ringing a little bit. My computer volume's only like 10 or 8, depending on the time of day. But it takes the track number 3. It takes a lot to laugh. It takes a train to cry. Has good harmonica playing. It's well mixed. It's the most finished song. It actually has a bit of progression. It just feels like a proper song compared to everything else on the album.
Yeah, I think I'm in full agreement. I definitely really like it. Takes a lot to laugh. It takes a lot to train. It takes a train to cry.
Takes a lot to train.
But I also would like to tack on "Like a Rolling Stone." Now, Sam, I know you don't care for it because of the meme status that is #1 song of all time. I still think it's a pretty great song on this album. Certainly one of my favorites. I mean, maybe the instrumentation doesn't really go like progress
anywhere,
which is a big flaw in this album, I think. But I think it's kind of relaxed, fun, jaunty style. I was able to carry the song for the 6 minutes. I didn't get bored of it by the end of the 6 minutes, which says something. And I actually did quite like Dylan's vocals on the song. I'm gonna say it. Sure, they're unique, but I think they work well with the instrumentation. Did you know there was a Green Day cover of "Like a Rolling Stone"?
That sounds awful, even worse than this one. I'd also just like to point out that generally you don't get bored of elevator music either, but I don't think I'd put that on to listen to.
Sam, come on. This is an American classic. I think.
You want to listen to... Well, who is it we listened to before? What was his name? The one we listened to the wrong album.
Oh, Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. He's an American classic. You want to listen to some more of him, Cooper?
No, I don't care for.
Yeah,
I don't care for Bruce. Look, but I went into Bruce not liking Bruce and came out not liking Bruce. I went to this album not liking Bob Dylan as much, and I like him a little bit more. So I just want to give credit where credit's due.
I went into this album not liking Bob Dylan and came out totally indifferent.
Did you also know that My Chemical Romance did a cover of Desolation Row for the movie Watchmen? This is a true fact that actually happened.
Why?
I don't know. So, maybe...
Why was My Chemical Romance in Watchmen? That's an even better question.
All I'm saying, Save, is things could be worse,
Things could be a hell of a lot better, too.
Well, on that note, how about, what's your least favorite song?
Least favorite? Now, I'm going to have to go with Queen Jane, approximately.
Okay.
It was really bad. Terribly mixed. Just the most generic backing music that you could ever think of. And the worst harmonica playing I've ever heard. Followed closely from a Buick 6, which had the second worst harmonica playing I've ever heard. Both of them are pretty bad, but at least from a Buick 6 is over quickly. Queen Jane stays around for quite a while. What about you, Cooper?
I'm going to say Highway 61 Revisited.
Yeah, it's pretty good too.
It's for the title track, very underwhelming. I don't care for the instrumentation on this one. And then Siren Whistle. Man, He really just had to toss that in there. Which,
honestly, he just would pick it up and play it.
He would. I mean, it was the only thing that really made the song interesting, even if it is for the worse.
Yeah.
Not a great title track. Why this wasn't called like a Rolling Stone, I'll never know. But there's a reason people think of that song and not the title track song. Which brings us finally to the end, and where we give our final rating. Sam, would you like to give an explanation of our rating system to the viewers?
Sure. So we do a 1 through 5 rating system, since we both are quite fascinated with the up-and-coming concept of cars.
Automobiles.
Yeah. It all started back when Disney made a movie about them, and, people decided to make them a reality. So we decided to make a podcast talking about music, but themed around cars. We're not very smart people. So top of the 5 out of 5 is Showroom. It's top of the line, cream of the crop. It's the best of the best. You definitely need to listen to this before you die. And then 1 out of 5, bottom of the barrel, Scrapyard. You probably will die if you listen to this. And I've come close a couple of times. And then we use high or low to kind of, just say what get a bit more variety than, 1 out of 5 to 5 out of 5 kind of thing. So Cooper, what do you think? Because I'm going to go on a tirade probably after this.
Oh, I'm sure. Before you do that, I'd like to go and give it a low like new.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I think I came out of this album with a more positive experience than a negative one. Now, is it the best album of all time, like some people are saying? Nowhere close. I think it's got plenty of flaws. There's, the lack of progression and instrumentation. Some of the songs are just duds. And, Bob Dylan vocals take some getting used to, and his lyrics can be a little overindulgent. But I still had a more positive experience with this album, if only just. Maybe I don't quite see why I achieved its legendary status, but I still enjoyed quite a few songs on this album, and I think it's probably, at least for historical value and some enjoyability, it's worth giving a listen to. Sam, so what? Showroom, like new? Where are you landing?
This is a very low used rental, possibly in the Scrapyard range.
Wow.
I think you're being extremely generous because you knew how much you disliked Bob Dylan before this. If anyone else in the world pulled the shit he pulled on this album with the very, very, very limited backing tracks, the complete disregard of using vocal melodies, you would be giving it a used rental Scrapyard. But because you had a preconceived notion against Bob Dylan, I think you're too nice and you're trying to be too polite to him, even though he probably doesn't give two shits about what you think.
He made a lot of money selling all his rights.
He did. I think it's a bad album. Don't listen to it. It doesn't deserve the praise that it gets. He's great at writing lyrics. Can't write a song worth shit, though.
No, we got different opinions, and that's part of the fun here.
Yeah. Even if you are incorrect, it's fine, Cooper.
No, it's fine. You don't have to say you're incorrect, Sam.
You're
entitled to. You're entitled to your. Huh? Sorry, I can't quite hear you.
Is there anybody in there?
Is there anybody there?
That's not the cover I want. Bob Dylan saying Pink Floyd.
Knock, knock, knock. Samuel, I heard you said bad things about my album. Now my foot's gonna revisit your ass.
How old is Bob Dylan, Cooper? I'm pretty sure I could handily toss him.
He's like in his 70s.
Yeah.
I know, but those are city miles, Sam. He's probably seen a thing or two.
Yeah,
he's probably thrown down.
He probably has, but these days the only thing he's throwing down are packs of Cheetos, probably. Anyway, you got time for the spare tire, or we want to just roll on?
Yeah, we can do a spare tire.
It'll be probably quick, so we'll roll on over to the spare tire, which is anything else we've been listening to for us a week. I should probably say that was Bob Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited. And now we're going to do, just whatever else we've been listening to this week. And I'll just immediately defer to you, Cooper, because I've been a shut-in for most of the week, so I haven't listened to much music.
Yeah, no, this week I listened to an album called Little Dominique's Nosebleed by hip-hop artist The Koreatown Oddity. Actually, quite an interesting album. It's also kind of a storyteller's album, Sam. The modern-day Bob Dylan.
I bet they can actually sing, though.
I mean, he doesn't try to sing. He's a rapper, so
Okay.
you know.
Well, that's acceptable.
But yeah, it's quite an interesting album with kind of a core premise of basically like the story that ties it together is the times he was in a car wreck, which is like a couple times in his childhood, and then the songs are kind of themed around that. It's got some certified bangers on it. I was quite pleasantly surprised going into this with some interesting instrumental, good storytelling. I really like his rap stylings. So yeah, if you're kind of looking for a kind of off the beaten path hip hop artist, check out the Koreatown Oddity. He did just release a song about breast milk, which don't start with that one. It's a little too weird, but the album is pretty good.
You're painting a pretty strange picture here, Cooper.
Yeah. So start with the album. He's a very off-kilter kind of character.
All right. Well, I still need to check out that other album you sent me first, from the Mild High Club.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth looking into too.
Well, you got anything else, Cooper?
No, I think that's about it.
So thank you all for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. If you like what you heard and you're on Twitch, you can go down to Picture Jeff Lynn, take you to YouTube. All the past stuff's there. If you're on YouTube, 8 p.m. Eastern, except when somebody has a tummy ache, on Sundays. And then if you go to Twitter, Audio Shop 14, you can see all the tweets that Cooper puts out.
Yeah, we'll tell you what we're going to be listening to.
Yeah.
And we're thinking we're going to try to do the whole Traveling Wilbury gambit.
Ooh, we should do Tom Petty next.
I'd be down for that.
I'm down for some Tom Petty. Some Bob Dylan that's in tune. And I'm not the only one who's made that comparison. That is a comparison that people have actually made.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. Like
sour grapes.
Or we could do George Harrison next.
Yeah. He's got some good albums too.
He does. I did Cloud 9 a little bit ago, and it's okay.
But yeah, so check us out there, and please join us next time.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
See you later, shoppies.
See you.